In Austin, I'm Mark Mullins. A man is in custody after Bastrop police say he shot at cars in a Home Depot parking lot. Police responded to Hunters Crossing Boulevard just before 4 p.m. Wednesday. Police say officers found a man armed with an AR-15 shooting at other vehicles from the back of his vehicle. The man was identified as the only suspect and was immediately taken into custody. No injuries were reported in the incident, but police say that there was some property damage. Officers are investigating what prompted the shooting. Williamson County Sheriff's investigators are telling us more about a murder arrest tied to a fentanyl-related death. Deputies arrested 33-year-old Garrett Wise last Thursday in connection to the death of Jensen Anders in Thrall. Sheriff Matthew Lindeman says that his office has investigated this case for a year. According to court documents, Wise sold Anders fentanyl in the week leading up to her death. She died on March 15, 2025 from fentanyl poisoning. A 2023 state law allows prosecutors to charge someone with murder if they sell fentanyl that leads to someone's death. Sheriff Lindeman says that they're trying to bring more attention to crimes involving this deadly drug.
Our detectives spent 12 months working on this investigation, and it serves as a fine example of how cooperation between law enforcement agencies can result in arrests for these horrible crimes.
The sheriff says his department responded to 2 fentanyl-related deaths last year. This year, they've already seen 3. If convicted, Wise faces 5 years to life in prison. Plans for a new data center are stirring debate in Taylor. Neighbors are pushing back against the project, while city officials argue it could come with major benefits. The facility would be built just off County Road 401, north of the Samsung factory in Taylor. Reporter Brianna Perez explains.
Taylor residents are hoping to close the door on plans for a new data center planned for their community. If council members approve those plans, these 210 acres here would be home to the facility.
We got to put a halt on them to understand them better and what's best for the people. The community needs to come first, not data centers.
Before construction can move forward, City Council must approve a rezoning request to allow large-scale industrial buildings here. With data centers popping up throughout Texas, residents say they want to break the cycle in Taylor.
We need to step back and figure out how to protect all of Taylor's resources and all of Taylor from different data centers and infrastructure that's coming along.
Residents worry about potential environmental, health, and economic impacts on the city and nearby neighborhoods. Residents say the proposed data center would be just about 200 feet from their neighborhood, with the nearby Samsung plant already bringing in more traffic. Many worry added construction would only make things worse.
Today, and she was realizing that they would have access in and out to the neighborhood, and that's really problematic.
Meanwhile, city officials say they hear those concerns, but safeguards are being included to protect their water, avoid noise and light pollution.
With this ordinance that will go before council, it has in it some very strict measures that this data center must comply with in order to be allowed to build here.
If approved, officials say the project would generate about $70 million for the school district and $145 million for the city over the next decade.
More officers on the road. That's more firefighters. That's better pay for those critical public services. That's potentially new streets paved.
Council members are set to take up the proposal during a council meeting Thursday at 6 p.m. In Taylor, Brianna Perez, KVUE News.
The Texas State Employees Union is suing Texas State University, accusing the college of wrongfully firing a professor. The union says Dr. Idris Robinson was targeted after making comments during an off-campus talk. They claim that there was an online harassment and call-in campaign that focused on his political views in support of Palestine. A spokesperson for the union said, quote, "Faculty must be able to speak as private citizens without fear that coordinated harassment campaigns will cost them their livelihoods," end quote. This is the union's second wrongful termination lawsuit against Texas State over protected speech. We reached out to Texas State about this story. A spokesperson told us the university does not discuss active litigation. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is calling for acting comptroller Kelly Hancock to be removed from office. He launched a heated social media tirade after Hancock sent a letter accusing Paxton of not doing enough to stop the spread of Muslim groups in the state. Here's reporter Daniel Perot.
a dust-up between top statewide leaders, spurred by this letter from Acting Comptroller Kelly Hancock to Attorney General Ken Paxton, criticizing his handling of Islamic schools participating in the state's new school choice program. In a fiery response, Paxton called on Governor Greg Abbott to remove Hancock and replace him with Republican Comptroller nominee Don Huffines, saying it's time for him to be fired. Hancock resigned from the Texas Senate last June after serving in the Texas legislature for nearly 20 years to take a role in the comptroller's office. When former comptroller Glenn Hagar stepped down in July, Hancock was chosen to take over. The comptroller's office oversees the state's new school choice program and is pushing to keep schools with ties to Muslim civil rights group CARE out. Governor Abbott declared the group a terrorist organization, though leaders with CARE strongly deny that.
We're going to maintain the safety and security of all kids that come through this program.
In a January opinion, General Paxton said Hancock could block schools with ties to terrorist groups or foreign adversaries from participating. Muslim parents and Islamic schools sued over the exclusion. Last week, a judge sided with them, extending the window for families to apply, ruling the state has to allow the Islamic schools to apply.
We're just here to make sure that the system is working fairly for everyone, because when one group is being left out, it weakens that promise of equal opportunity for every Texan.
In his letter, Hancock says Paxton has not used all tools at his disposal to go after groups that he says are affiliated with terror groups and implement a new state law preventing foreign adversaries from buying land in Texas. Despite Paxton's calls for the governor to fire Hancock, it's not clear if he can. Under the Texas Constitution, statewide officials can only be removed by impeachment, though some Capitol insiders say it could still be possible to remove Hancock because he's only acting comptroller.
And that was Daniel Perot reporting. It is worth noting this is the second time in recent weeks that a top Republican has questioned the actions of Paxton's office. In a recent filing to the Texas Supreme Court, Governor Abbott accused Paxton of rushing a lawsuit against a program in Harris County that provides legal aid to undocumented immigrants. There's a new way for Austin Energy customers to contribute to the power grid. The utility just announced its Power Partner Battery Pilot Program. Homeowners can buy and install batteries that stores excess energy at their home. They'll get $500 to make the initial purchase, and they can receive an additional incentive of more than $300 per year for letting Austin Energy use the battery's stored energy during periods of peak demand. The companies selling these home battery storage systems say they can be used to store energy from solar panels on the home, or they can be used as a backup if the power goes out. But they're not cheap. They can cost several $1,000s to install. And that's all from us in Austin. Hope you have a great day.